going to the bar in the intro. That makes total sense. I like it.
You just now figuring
Just
that out?
now, yeah, I never watch what you put.
Oh my gosh.
I don't watch the show. I
Wow.
You just run it or whatever.
You just run it, yeah. Yeah. Hey guys. Howdy folks. For those of you that may be new to the show, I am DC, your host of Barside Jive, and this is AJ. AJ, be here in just a minute. We are on the air and live once again for your listening pleasure, viewing pleasure, at AJ's on Main Street, 651 South Main in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas. And guys, we are still the Christmas capital of the world, even though Christmas is over. Grapevine is still in full swing. So we will be that way until, I don't know, it just kind of fizzles out, probably midsummer. We are at AJ's, like I said. It's like most bars. They're fun places to hang out. Really one of the only places that you can legally drink and then just say whatever you want. Especially if you're drinking tequila or vodka. We didn't do pickle shots.
Well, you cry every time.
No, I won't cry today. You want to do it? I won't cry today. I might tear up a little bit, but I won't cry. Okay, while AJ's...
Let me explain something real quick. What's about to happen to it?
Uh-oh. It's going to get nasty?
I've got
Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3, 4 more different peppers that are going.
Look at that.
God.
4
Tears.
more
The tears are
peppers.
coming.
Woo, buddy. Yeah. AJ's pickle shots, guys, are to die for. He's got unleaded and the leaded. So, it's good stuff, guys. Good way to start your morning. Like pickle shot. Get yourself hydrated. Light your fire.
Cool mine off.
Oh, you chill yours?
Yeah.
No, I like it room temperature. Man. Guys, these pickle shots are really good. So, what do you say they are? $4? $4.
$4.
$4 for a pickle shot here at AJ's.
Regular price.
$4 for 4 ounce.
Yep. It's vodka, right? Mm-hmm. Vodka, pickles, and then peppers in the spicy. If you do the bland, there's no spice. It's just vodka and pickles. Waiting for AJ to chill his shot. He'll be here right now. All right. Here we go. Cheers.
Cue the cheers.
Hey, it's good stuff, AJ. Woo! Damn, it's hot. Okay. Never forget, guys. Wow. Never forget that we are in the shadow of the wings of the immortal winged horny horse named Believe.
Horny horse.
Believe. Not imagine, AJ. It's Believe.
How many shows did we do called it Imagine?
That was John Lennon. Grapevine is Believe. Yeah. Well, guys, we're really glad you're. Wow. Yeah, you can feel those all the way down. We are so glad.
There's some ghost peppers, some Carolina Reapers over there, and a couple other special ones.
I can't even whistle now. It doesn't work. Okay, guys, we are so glad you're here and hope that you remember to tell somebody, anybody, a friend, neighbor, acquaintance, even a stranger, to join us. I mean, really, it's a great conversation starter. It's just something that you ought to do. Support the show. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. This show happens roughly at noon, Central Time.
Hey, we did really good today.
We were right on time.
Wow.
We weren't late at all. Not
doesn't
1 second
happen.
late. It was pretty amazing, actually.
My phone went off right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
AJ
Yeah.
was late.
Yeah. Well, whenever
Business. I was doing business.
business. Well, guys, we go till we get done, but it's roughly about an hour and a half show, so we usually get done around 1:30. Okay. Oh, and we've got Mike Reno on the show. Did I say that?
No.
I didn't?
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, let's hear from Mike.
All right.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Reno from Loverboy, and you're watching Barside Jive with DC.
Yes, my featured guest today is Mike Reno, frontman of the Canadian rock band Loverboy. Well, AJ, I think it's time to introduce the beer of the week. What are we drinking?
Well, believe it or not,
Believe.
we have Sierra Nevada Celebration.
No, in the right glass. We are spot on with our branding today, guys. Tell us a little bit about Sierra Nevada. AJ.
Sierra Nevada is in Chico, California, and Asheville, North Carolina. They're the oldest craft brewery in the U.S.
Oldest craft beer brewery. My lips won't work.
And they do a lot of good in their communities and across the United States. They do a lot of charity stuff.
Really? Wow.
When they had the big fires out there,
Yeah.
they brewed a beer called Resolution. I believe it was Resolution or Redemption, one or the other. But
It's kind of like Believe and Imagine.
But what they did was they took that recipe and they sent it out to every brewery that wanted it and asked them to duplicate it and turn their proceeds. They turned all their proceeds that they made off of that beer to the victims of the fire.
Wow.
And a lot of other breweries did the same thing. So
Wow. Very cool. Very cool.
we got some other beer news too.
Yeah?
The oldest brewery in the United States, Pottsville, Pennsylvania, Yuengling, is coming to Texas.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that beer.
Yes.
Ooh.
They're coming here. They're going to brew their beer in Fort Worth.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's huge.
It's very, it's huge.
Huge.
Huge. Oh, you know what else? The NRA's moving to Texas. Moving out of New York. Moving
That
to
only
Texas.
makes sense.
Yeah, it's easier. I can go.
Why-
I can
why
go.
would
I
you
can
be
walk
in-
over there and give them my dues now.
Yeah.
I don't have to send them anymore.
I'm a lifetime member. I'm already paid off.
Guns.
There you go. Right here on Barside Jive. Well, that's gonna be really convenient. I just haven't heard what city they're moving to. Have you? I hope it's Dallas.
It would be hard luck. They'll go to Austin.
Yeah, it could be. Well, you never know. Well, I guess where the capital is, that's where they probably want to be. Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's talk about AJ's a little bit. Besides the fact that you can get some great craft beers here, and like today, you may even get the right branding, the right beer in the right glass, but don't always count on it. But he's got the best enormous beef ribs. I mean, they're like friggin' huge beef ribs. Dinosaur ribs, exactly. And a fried smoked beef bologna sandwich to die for. Do you want to tell them about that sandwich?
Yeah, I got a smoked bologna sandwich. We do a good smoke on it, and then we slice it thick, and we fry it, put a good sear on it, and serve it up with some mustard and some relish.
It's
All day
good.
long.
It's good. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I love fried bologna, and they have figured out how to do it the best. And it's on Texas toast, guys. So it's a great sandwich. How much is that bad boy?
$6 with a side.
$6 with a side. And what are your choices on sides?
Fries, chips, potato salad, or not coleslaw right now. Fries, chips, potato salad, regular salad, or fried okra.
There you go. And you guys are kind of famous for your Morgan's
Bread pudding, yeah.
bread pudding. So you need to come down to AJ's and check out the sandwiches, check out his beef ribs. We got a lot of other things on the menu. But those are two of my faves. Guys, in addition to my guest segment, which comes later in the show, roughly around 12:30ish, I guess, I've got news, weather, an occasional traffic report, sports, sometimes music, rare appearances by who knows who may stop by, and even an appearance by a dog named Tony and a deer named Ezekiel. As well as other content loaded with entertainment values. So Hang on, because you don't want to miss any of it. And it's lunchtime here in Texas, as it is in most parts of the U.S., unless you're on the West Coast, and then I believe they call that brunch. But if you want to let us know what you're having for lunch while you watch our show, give us a call. 469-844-1631. Once again, that's 469-844-1631. Give us a call. Let us know what you're having for lunch. We would love for you to call in. Okay. Quick break. Be sure to check out my YouTube channel. Just search Barside Jive Live at youtube.com and click subscribe, and then click that little bitty bell ding, to receive notifications when I post my premium content, which I make available to all you guys for free because you're just that freaking special. That's all there is to it. And now, a word from Vodafone.
Dad, I'm gay.
Excellent.
Sometimes life's more than a 3-minute conversation. Talk for up to 60 minutes, pay for just 3 with Vodafone.
What do you know? It's time for breaking news. And it's breaking news. And it's breaking news because it is. Almost breaks my nose every time I...
Oh, breaking news. There's a breaking nose.
Yeah. Our top news story straight in from the Barside Jive news desk. Yeah, buddy. Where's that photo? A new species of cockroach has been discovered in December in Mexico, was officially named after President Trump for the record amount of excrements it produces every day. The University of Mexico biology professor, PhD, Jorgina Jimenez, officially registered the species on Tuesday, naming her find the Blatella trumpus, or Trump cockroach. The renowned biologist says the name presented itself naturally while observing the insect specimens captured in December in the north of the state of Chihuahua. I wonder if that's where the dog comes from, Chihuahua. Yeah. When we observed that it was almost unkillable and that it produced more than 5 times its own weight in feces every day, the first name that we came up with was Trump. Professor Jimenez described the new species as the most voracious, and pathogen-ridden of over 4,600 known species of cockroaches. It spends its time devouring everything in sight, including toxic waste and even its own brethren. That would be like friends and family, right?
Frequent flyers.
Yeah. This makes them really toxic. We found up to 44 different pathogens in a single individual. Professor Jimenez says more research will be necessary to determine the role of the Trump cockroach in the ecosystem, saying its cannibalistic behavior and toxicity level probably diminishes its importance for the region's food chain. It is estimated that 15 million different species live on our planet, but only 2 million of them are currently known to science, and several new species are discovered every year, if you're interested. In 2020 alone, 17 new spider species, 23 insects, 1 bristly millipede, and 1 monitor lizard, according to the International Commission on Zoological Nomenclature, the ICZN. The Trump cockroach was the only species registered in North America this year, with most finds coming from the Amazon, Africa, and India.
Gary.
Yeah. Okay, let's all remain peaceful, says Trump in clear incitement to violence. More Trump news, guys. Straight out of Washington, D.C. A review of Trump's statements last week made it clear that he was inciting violence, as he was very clearly told people to remain peaceful and not to carry out any violence. The dangerous cult leader encouraged his followers to protest at the Capitol, but to remain peaceful, which is an obvious instance of inciting violence, according to leading language experts and journalists. Let's all remain peaceful, he said, which clearly meant go burn down the Capitol building. No violence, added the deranged lunatic, which according to the New York Times was a dog whistle for minions, attack. Go home, he added, which meant keep pressing the attack. We will not be defeated. Blow shit up. At publishing time, Trump had said, I've always encouraged peaceful protesting, which meant he wanted his followers to go ransack an Arby's next. All right. Let's hear another word from Vodafone.
Mom, it's twins.
Thanks for calling.
Sometimes life's more than a 3-minute conversation. Talk for up to 60 minutes, pay for just 3. With Vodafone Stop the Clock.
Oh, my lips are still tingling. How about some rock history for this week? At least for a few days of this week. Born this week in rock history, we got Dave Grohl. He was born on the 14th. Dave Grohl, Nirvana and Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl is amazing. Cool guy, too. Zakk Wylde was born on the 14th.
He's a cool guy. I've met him a couple times.
Yeah, so he and Dave had the same birthday.
Yeah, didn't know.
You think
Pretty
they ever
cool,
get
huh?
together?
I don't know. Maybe they,
Double party or?
Yeah.
maybe. Maybe at least they shoot each other a text.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, brother. Zakk Wylde. Yeah, and Geoff Tate.
Oh, God. He's crazy. You need to get him on for an interview.
Do I?
Yeah. Jeff.
Okay.
It's just Jeff, but yeah, he's...
It's Geoff.
Okay. I would say Geoff, but...
What do you think, AJ?
Say how you want.
I'm gonna stay out of this. I don't want the guy to come beat me up.
I was at a Queensryche concert, and we were backstage, and Jeff Tate says to me, so what do you think? Was it a good show? And I go, That's my favorite Queensryche memory.
That's all you said is eh?
Yeah.
You didn't say golf or Geoff?
No, I should have. I said, Geoff. I've seen Queensryche so many times, though, because they're one of my favorite bands.
Yeah?
I was being honest and drunk.
Yeah. I think it was more of the alcohol,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
based on what you told me.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's not what I would say if I wanted, like, an autograph.
Yeah, no.
No.
Well, speaking of alcohol and Zakk Wylde, when I worked at the radio station, I was walking by the service elevator. It opens up. There's Zakk Wylde
No.
with a cooler of Heineken.
No.
Yeah, he rolled it in. He drank.
Most of it.
Yeah, and then he played his Dimebag Darrell song, and we recorded it, and then he left.
That's too cool.
Yeah, it was.
Cool stories here from behind the bar, guys. Don't forget, Earl Hooker was born on the 15th of this month, back in 1930, guys. Man, what a freaking amazing blues player. Ronnie Van Zant, Leonard Skinner, lead vocalist, born on January 15th, 1948. Dolores O'Riordan. Wow, from the Cranberries.
Oh, yeah.
She was awesome. She's gone, but she was born on the 15th. Mick Taylor. Mick Taylor, born on the 17th of January, 1949. Wow. Where does the time go? Yeah, Rolling Stones,
Still
man.
doing it.
And he's still doing it. And Janis Joplin was born on the 19th, which is tomorrow. Oh,
Where's
yeah.
she from? Corpus or Galveston?
Corpus, yeah, Corpus. Big Brother and the Holding Company was her claim to fame. Rod Evans, singer of Deep Purple, was born on the 19th, tomorrow. Happy birthday, Rod Evans. And Dewey Bunnell, America. Love America. He was born in 52.
America.
Vocalist, guitarist for a great band. And it's the name of our country.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. And for AJ, Ronnie Millsap had to throw in the country. Ronnie Millsap, January 16th, 1943 is when he was born. Country singer. And those who died this week in rock history, got a few. Always a few too many. Jerry Nolan died on the 14th of January from the Heartbreakers and New York Dolls. Dale Griffin from Mott the Hoople. He was the drummer. Died on the 17th of January. Dallas Taylor, another drummer, Crosby, Stills, Nash, sometimes young, died on the 18th of January. And Glenn Fry died on the 18th of January as well. He was a founder and singer for the Eagles. Oh, got a few more. God, I hate that. Denny Doherty died on the 19th from the Mamas and Papas. Steve Knight of Mountain, and we just lost Leslie West. Steve Knight, January 19th, he passed on. And this week in rock history, future rock star David Jones changed his name, not Davy Jones, but David Jones, changed his name to David Bowie in order to avoid confusion with the Monkees. Davy Jones on January 14th, 1966. Eric Clapton records his session, Eric Clapton Unplugged, for MTV. How could that have been back in 92? There's no freaking way that was in 92.
Some of the best music came out of that show.
Oh, amazing show. I remember it. It was huge.
Yeah.
January 16th.
Yesterday, I was watching the Alice in Chains Unplugged.
Oh my gosh. Where's the time go? Just away. Just poof, away. Jamaican police mistake Jimmy Buffett for a drug smuggler and shoot at his seaplane, which was called the Hemisphere Dancer, after it lands in the water. Bono of U2 is on board with his family, along with Island Records head Chris Blackwell. Wow. Pink Floyd began recording their legendary Dark Side of the Moon album on January 18th, 1973. Dark Side would become one of the most critically and commercially successful albums ever. Its music is timeless, beautiful, emotional, and haunting. More than almost any other album, it works perfectly as one cohesive, thematic work of art. Even the Beatles, though they tried, had never been able to perfect the idea of the concept album in the way that Pink Floyd did with albums like Dark Side, Animals, The Wall, and Wish You Were Here. If we were to pick a top 10 rock record ever list, well, Dark Side would certainly be on it. Okay, the band Bad Company is formed, featuring Paul Rogers, what an amazing voice, on vocals, January 18th, 1974, and that's it for this week in rock history. Wow, it's a whole lot of talent in this week, making it a huge week in rock and roll history. And now, another word from Vodafone.
It's off.
No problem.
Sometimes life's more than a 3-minute conversation. Talk for up to 60 minutes, pay for just 3 with Vodafone.
Vodafone. Okay, guys, that means we are done with the news, so let's talk some COVID-19. And now, just for you, I have an exclusive, a new song that sums up the whole pandemic. Chris, take it away.
I need toilet paper, toilet paper, toilet paper. I'm out of toilet paper. It's my Corona.
Okay, guys, I don't know about you, but I'm so ready for some sports. And today, guys, we are exploring the world of boogers. That's right. Booger rush. Get rid of all those troll faces using your boogers. Just aim and shoot the green snot to push all boxes off the platforms. And here it is. Okay, guys, nothing like a little booger rush. You can play that online with a team or all by your lonesome.
Let's form a team.
There you go. AJ, you in?
I'm in.
AJ's in. Tony's in. We're all good. And just when you thought you'd seen everything, I mean, nothing like a little booger rush, right? Yeah. I mean, no one's watching football, so booger rush is in. Can't wait till next week. I got a special sports. Yeah. And now a word from our friends at Fog Hat Cellars.
One night, sure had a real good time. You drink your whiskey, I drink my red wine.
Hi DC, thanks for having us on your show. And for you folks, I'm Roger Earl of the band Foghat, and these are our wines. Foghat Cellars. This is a Chardonnay from Monterey County, absolutely delicious, 2014. We have 2013 Pinot Noir from Monterey County. It's absolutely fabulous, a wonderful drinking wine. If you like Pinots, you'll love it. This is a Cabernet Sauvignon from Paso Robles. All our wines come from Central Coast of California. Steve Rasmussen is our winemaker. Though in fact myself and Linda actually get involved in the making of some of our wines. Drink, enjoy, go to foghatcellars.com to find out how to get them. Thanks, bye.
Guys, Roger and Linda Earl are the finest people you're going to find, and they performed here in Grapevine on the main stage during, I don't know if it was Grape Fest or Main Street Fest, but one of the festivals here in Grapevine a few years ago, and we did actually I did an interview with Roger backstage. And then they came over here to AJ's, and we had a little after party here. We just had so much fun. I mean, the whole band was here, and I mean, they followed up and sent AJ a case of wine, and they're just swell people. They invited me to ride in their bus between concert locations, and hung out with those guys, and just such sweet people. They're awesome. So, I would love it if you would support what they're doing here with their wine selections. And remember, if you use the coupon code Barside Jive on the checkout screen, you get 20% off, guys. Not 10, but 20% off, which I think is pretty freaking amazing. Pretty good. So try their wines and get you 20% off. And also, for a few dollars more, you can actually get a bottle autographed by Roger Earl, the drummer, who is the only remaining member of the original lineup. So go to foghatcellars.com today and buy a bottle of their wine. All right, speaking of wine, it's time for some weather. From your Barside Jive Global Weather Center, where we try to stick to the current weather since forecasts are always so wrong. They totally make me want to drink because they're always so wrong. Including ours, because our forecasts are always so wrong. Here we go, guys. Local AJ's weather, at least here at 651 South Main Street in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas. It's currently, it's pretty overcast, guys. 49 degrees. Today's high is 65. Air quality's, I'd say it's okay. You think it's okay? Yeah. Joe says it's okay. Wind is out of the northwest, about 11 miles an hour. I think we'd all agree. Humidity is about 45%, pretty low. A 5% chance of rain right now, but increases this evening to about 45%, so may get a little bit of rain later. Probably not, but maybe. And the sun will set at its usual early-ass time of 5:46 p.m. AJ loves this time change. He loves it. He loves it. He loves leaving and it being dark as hell. So let's go to one of our favorite reporters, Angelica, who's on location in Racine County, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where it's really pretty chilly there, guys, I might add. Hey, Angelica, how's it going out there?
I have been here since, 3:30 this morning? Yeah. And it's now, I don't even know what time it is, 9:45. I'm exhausted. I've run out of things to say. It is snowing, and it sucks here.
Angelica, we feel your pain. Sucky weather, we know. All right, guys. Well, thanks, Angelica. I don't know what else to say. And that's your global weather from your Barside Jive meteorologist, kinda, here at Barside Jive. Our weather was brought to you by our friends at True Fruits Smoothie.
Just imagine every day it's just me and you.
Nothing like a little True Fruit smoothie, guys. Nothing like it. That's our preferred drink, actually. Now. All right. What do you guys want to do next? We've got to get texting capability.
Oh yeah.
We got to do that. We got to do it. I get a lot of comments about that.
Man, you gotta just text me every day, call me every day, and bug me until I get that working.
Okay, we need to get that done. Okay, guys, let's take a quick look at traffic. Well, it may be fine here at 651 South Main Street in historic downtown Grapevine, Texas. But let's go to Alex for a live report at a fatality accident scene near San Francisco.
And obviously it was a chaotic and confusing situation for him. Oh my God.
Wow. Close call, huh, Alex? Wow, that hurt.
Alex, I hope you're all right, buddy.
Yeah, really. I felt that, man. I felt the vibrations. Whoa. Let's have a drink. Alex.
Calm down.
Glad you're still with us, buddy. What was this celebration?
Celebrate, celebrate, dance to the music.
I got rammed. I was on a.
You got rammed?
Well, I was on a traffic stop and had to jump on the hood of a car.
Oh, dude, yeah. Yeah. See, I was working accidents out on 360 or in the ice, and those cars just come spinning, bouncing off the guardrail. Looked like a pinball game. Yeah, scary. All right, guys. Wow, Alex. I'm still trying to get over Alex. Poor guy.
Yeah. He should probably drink more.
He probably should.
And he definitely should have went and got some lottery tickets and new underwear.
Yeah, new clean underwear. Make a trip to Walmart. Get that
Knock
sick.
it out.
Huh?
Knock it out in two.
That's right.
Knock out two in one.
Did you get on underwear for Christmas?
I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
What kind did you get?
Hanes.
You got those old
Boxer
black
briefs.
boxers. We're going to have to do another segment on boxers or briefs.
Yeah.
We know it's been a while since we've done that.
Yeah, I do boxer briefs.
Yeah, and I just do briefs. But did you remember that call we made to the specialty underwear store over in Dallas on Cedar Springs?
She was pretty helpful.
It was fun. We'll have to play that call.
You remember that?
We'll have to play that. We'll have to play that on a show. We'll have to play that call. It was hilarious. All right, guys. Oh God, what? You won't believe this, but we've got another. We got another word from Vodafone.
Oh my God. Dad, I'm pregnant.
Oops. Sometimes life's more than a 3-minute conversation. Talk for up to 60 minutes, pay for just 3 with Vodafone.
Flags flying.
Okay.
In celebration of Martin Luther King Jr.
Right. Okay. Oh, we're back. Boy, it sneaks up on you. We're back. Well, guys, that'll bring us up to our. Well, wait a minute. Today is Martin Luther King Day.
Yes, it is.
Not just in Grapevine, but all over the world.
But in Grapevine, the Grapevine Rotary puts all the way down Main Street American flags.
So now today, Believe is looking down upon the American flags in celebration of Martin Luther King Day. It's very cool, guys. Very cool. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think we covered it.
Okay. Well, guys, that's going to bring us up to our featured guest segment, which is sponsored by Hip and Hippie. Hip and Hippie is a planet-loving company known for its high-quality, earth-friendly, 100% recyclable candle line and natural body care products. You burn those candles, and those products are what make us look so good, right?
Well, that and I'm just naturally beautiful.
Oh, shut up. It's no wonder eco-supporting people love Hip and Hippie. hipandhippie.com. Well, guys, Loverboy, calm down, is a Canadian rock band formed in 1979. They were established in Calgary, Alberta, but are currently based in Vancouver, British Columbia. Loverboy's hit singles, particularly Turn Me Loose and Workin' for the Weekend, have become arena rock staples and are still heard on many classic rock and classic rock hits radio stations across Canada and the United States of America. After being rejected by many American record labels, they signed with Columbia CBS Records in Canada and began recording their first album on March 20th, 1980. Loverboy's founding members were guitarist Paul Dean, keyboardist Doug Johnson, bassist Scott Smith, drummer Mac Frenette, and my guest today, lead singer Mike Reno. Throughout the 1980s, Loverboy accumulated numerous hit songs in Canada and the United States, earning 4 multi-platinum albums and selling millions of records. Except for a brief breakup from 1988 to 1991, the band has continued to perform live shows regularly. Well, guys, I'll be right back with Mike Reno after this quick break. Guys, welcome back. Let's welcome Loverboy frontman Mike Reno to Barside Jive. Mike, it's great having you here.
Thank you very much, DC, if I may call you that.
Absolutely. All my friends call me that, so I definitely include you in that group. I'm actually quite honored.
Thank you, sir.
Mike, I just had Rick Emmett from Triumph on the show about a month ago, and he started off the show with a story that he said he thought you were there, where Bunny Carlos actually turned down a session with John Lennon.
Wow.
And yeah, because he had to get back home to do his laundry.
Oh, God. I think it was in Chicago. We were doing something, a show for Mr. Jim Pederick from Survivor. He does a show every year to celebrate all the music he's written. And he does it for a charity, of course. And I think Rick was there, I was there, Bunny was there, and he was telling us that story. I think we all looked at him like, what are you, nuts?
Yeah, totally missed out, didn't he?
John Lennon, wow. And you know, yeah, wow. Boy, do we miss John Lennon, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember where you were when you first heard about John Lennon passing? I remember like it was yesterday. There's this hotel that's a really funky hotel down by the ocean in Vancouver called the Sylvia Hotel. I was sitting there having a beer, and it came on this little television in 1980, and we were just getting started as a band. We just put out a record, and we were home for Christmas, and it, boom. And I looked at it, and I went, oh, my God, how horrible is that? I remember like it was yesterday.
Wow. I mean, all of us were raised on Beatle music. I mean,
absolutely. That's kind of why I got in the game.
Yeah.
I was 11 years old, and Ed Sullivan, you know, back then it was a black and white TV. You were lucky to have one back then.
Right.
Yeah, you know, 3 channels. The major networks were just, you know, getting started.
Right.
And Ed Sullivan started bringing bands on, and he brought on the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. But when the Beatles came on, I said to my parents, that's what I want to do right there. And I was delivering papers in the morning and selling papers after school. So my brother taught me how to make money. He says, it's nice to have some walking around money. And he taught me what to do. So I bought a set of drums when I was 11, you know what I mean? And I had my own money. I sent a letter to the Beatles saying I should be the drummer for the Beatles, this Ringo guy's not cutting it. Sorry, Ringo.
Oh, yeah. You didn't mean anything by it.
No, he's going to hate me.
Well, so Paul didn't call you up and say, yeah, we want you in?
I did not get a return letter, DC, I'm afraid. I did not. I'm still a little disappointed by it.
Yeah, I thought this story was going to develop into something where you had to turn them down.
I know. It would have been a great story. Not the case.
Yeah. Wow. You've had a real lengthy career. I guess you realize that, don't you, Mike? And you've been the front man for this iconic band that has seen so much success. And when you guys took off, what was it, about 1979, 1980, you really took off. And looking back, what do you see as your biggest accomplishment during all that time?
You mean for the whole 40 years or for the first
for the whole
time?
40 years? What stands out to you?
You know what a decision I made years ago when we were first putting the band together, before we had the whole band together, I said to Paul, and Paul and I were, you know, we started the band, and I said, we got to find the guys that we're going to stick with for a long time, you know, like that's what counts more than even musicianship is camaraderie. And then I said, we should put everybody on the same pay scale. Everybody makes the same. I don't know where I come up with this idea, but it was one of the best ideas I think I ever had, because it kept the band together. Everybody did well. There was no, I hate the singer because he's making all the money thing, because that happens in a lot of bands, right? One or two guys make all the money and everybody else doesn't. So, and we didn't even think really about money at the beginning. We were just happy to be able to do it, but I wanted the band to stay together. And that was one of my I think one of my best ideas ever. And I think that's one of, you know, accomplishment wise, it was good we accomplished. We're still together. other than we lost a guy to a boating accident, one of our best beginner. He started with the band in 1980, 79, pardon me. And Scott Smith, of course, is dearly missed today. He went boating and got dragged into the ocean on a lousy wave and ended up never being found. But this is the life of sailing, and he died doing something he wanted, but we really miss him. So keeping the band together, like all the other four guys are together. Our newest guy's been with the band over 20 years. We believe in the camaraderie of the band. The band is tight. When we hit the stage, we all know what we're doing. We know where we're going. We know what's going to happen. And that's a nice feeling,
Mm-hmm.
It's like a winning football team, but forever. not just for a year,
right?
Forever.
Right.
And that was pretty good. Writing the songs that are still popular today, that's a huge accomplishment, in my opinion, because even yesterday I was driving around, a song came on the radio and it just sounded great to me. I mean, it still sounded good. So we had some of the best in the business right off the bat, and we didn't even know they were the best in the business. Because, they were just starting out too. This is like Bob Rock, Mike Fraser. Mike Fraser now does all the AC/DC albums. Bob Rock does everybody. Bruce Fairbairn was huge. He did everybody as well. Passed away, sadly. But the whole team right off the bat turned out to be kind of a winning team. And I'm very proud of that.
Right. You said that you started out with a drum kit. Wasn't it a Ludwig kit?
That was my third set.
Okay.
I started with a set of English Capri, and most people would never heard of this English Capri. They even had live hide skins on them. The heads are usually plastic now.
Right.
I had them. They were live like animal heads, like skin. That's why they call them skins. And I progressed to a set of Stewarts, and then when I got really serious about it, I went out and bought a double set of white maple Ludwigs, which I loved.
Yeah. So you transitioned from a drummer to a frontman, which is kind of odd to me that you would make that transition, right? Because you can sing. You can sing.
Just a sec, Mister. You know who else was a drummer?
Frontman that was a drummer. Steven Tyler.
Yes, sir. And Mick Jagger. He started. He was kind of a drummer.
No way.
He loved the drums at the beginning.
I did not know that, Mike.
There's a few. Phil Collins, of course, but
right.
Right. But what's funny is, I think that gives me timing in the song, in the singing. The timing.
Sure.
The timing is as people say you got pretty good timing. For a singer.
No, I can see it. I can see it totally being advantageous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having been a drummer, but what I'm saying is that usually, my experience is the drummer, he doesn't want to be the front man. He doesn't want to.
I didn't either.
You didn't?
No,
not at all.
I was like saying, there's no way I'm going up front. But this band I was with, when I was starting out, after a few years, they said, listen, everybody's got a front man now. There's like Led Zeppelin's out there, Deep Purple. There's all these bands, Rolling Stones. They got a front man. He's running around getting the audience going crazy. He says, we want you to go up front. And I'm going, there is absolutely no way I'm going up front. I was just like scared shitless. And I just said, I'm not doing it. And then all of a sudden I tried it, and it was a little nerve-wracking at first because there's no drums and cymbals in front of you. So, you got to find something to do with your hands and you're right out front. It's like, it was a big deal change. And then it kind of caught on. And then I realized you have a little bit of work in the crowd is kind of fun for me. The personality starts to come out a little bit. And it took a little getting used to, but then I kind of caught on.
Wow. Well, you caught on in a big way, Mike. In a big way. Let me say this, that I've got to know, what was your primary motivation for playing music? Was it you foresaw this big career, in music, having the lifestyle that you wanted to have, or was it something else?
It's all I ever did. It's not like I did a whole bunch of things and said music is where I'm at. Occasionally I would get a job so I could get enough money to buy a van or a PA. This is, going back to the years when you could load everything into a van and do concerts in and around your hometown. Right off the bat, when I was young, I was in my brother's band, and my dad drove us around pulling a U-Haul trailer to these little shows in and around where we lived.
Right.
And he took tickets at the door and would bounce people out of there if they were too crazy. And I remembered I was 13 years old. They could barely see me over the drums. And they gave me a drum solo. And then during the break in the show, we'd sit in the back in the car with my dad's Oldsmobile with the big fins on the back, one of those old Oldsmobiles. And Dad would pop a few beers for the guys in the band. He passed it to me when I'm 13. I took a little sip of it and passed it to the bass player. I said I didn't want anything to do with that. But this is all I ever did. And so right off the bat, and then once in a while I would get a job to earn some money. But it was just, I didn't even think about doing the job forever. I just wanted to earn a bit of money to buy some more equipment.
Wow.
And so it's all I've ever done. Really, literally, I could tell people that's all I've ever done is music.
Wow. Yeah. Who was the major influence on your career? I mean, was there a particular band that you wanted to emulate?
My favorite band was Free.
Okay, great band, yeah.
And Humble Pie.
Oh, yeah.
And groups like that. I was totally into that kind of thing. The soulful singing prowess of Paul Rogers just completely blew me away. He had this raspy soul, and it was just the best. He didn't oversing, he just sang enough. He's the coolest. It's still the coolest singer around. And he's a natural talent, a fabulous singer, great guy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great bands you just mentioned. Yeah, Free, they were awesome.
And then, for those who don't remember, Free became Bad Company.
Oh yeah.
And then, that's not a bad way to go too. But I also loved Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. And then I got into groups like Chicago.
Oh yeah.
And Chicago were really a different band, but I loved Peter Cetera's voice. I couldn't believe how he could sing. And I still have a hard time believing how he can sing.
Yeah.
It's like, it's got one of these, it's like a phenomenon, natural phenomenon type of voice, right? It's like, how does he sing like that? And then I got into Creedence. I thought they were starting to get pretty good. And, those are the kind of things I grew up with. And then I even got into Three Dog Night, different kind of groups like that.
Right.
Have you ever Bane, and stuff like that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I remember driving 5 hours from a little town I grew up in British Columbia to Vancouver to get there early enough to be the first guy in the Coliseum, which is the hockey rink, to see Chicago. And I ran right to the front and I stood right in front of the bass player because I knew that was Peter Cetera. And I knew he was going to be standing right there. And I was looking up at him. And I remember it like it was yesterday. And they played it. I just went, oh my God, he can sing just like that. So it wasn't like a studio effect. He really sings like that.
Right. Wow. Did you ever meet him?
I met him not too long ago, a couple of years ago. I met him. I went to one of his shows down in California. And he called me up on stage. One of his guys worked with us temporarily when our keyboard player couldn't travel for a particular reason or another. So we had another keyboard player, a friend of ours from Nashville, play keyboards, and he had all the stuff that we needed in his keyboard. And then he got a job with Peter Cetera. And when they came through California, he called me up. He said, "You want to come to the show as my guest?" So my wife and I are sitting in the front, maybe 8-10 rows back, and all of a sudden Peter Cetera invites me up on stage, and I tell you, I nearly crapped my pants. Oh, really. And I went up and sang Working for the Weekend.
Oh, wow.
he was playing all these ballads, which I thought was kind of funny. But he plays a lot of ballads, right?
Right.
And as I'm walking back off the stage after singing "Working for the Weekend," people in the audience are going, "Get back up there and rock this place a little bit." So, because he was kind of putting him to sleep. But what a fantastic talent he is. Just a great singer and a great songwriter. And wow, he wasn't even playing bass that night. He was just singing. Man, can he sing? Fantastic. I think he might have retired too, which is kind of sad. I enjoyed seeing him 2 years ago too.
Wow. So the audience wants you to pick up the tempo a little bit.
Yeah, the audience, get back there and rock us, Reno. And I thought, come on, knock it off. This is his show. And it was just kind of a funny moment as I'm walking back. It's just a few people in the front.
Yeah. Of course, you weren't under any pressure at all.
No, I still, I get very nervous when I get called up on stage like that, because if they ask me to sing a Chicago song, I'm going to go. I can make up my own words. I never know the words to songs other than my own songs. They say, you must know a million songs. And I go, no, I know 18 and they're all my own songs.
Yeah. Now, wait a minute. I got to ask you, are you still singing from memory, or do you got those big monitors that you're having to use?
I don't need the monitors that everybody else uses, because I just read the lips of the front row. I know. I'm a lip reader. I remember most of them. I'll tell you what, after this break, I might have to brush up on the lyrics before I back out there. I mean, we've been off for 8 months now.
Yeah.
This is the longest time I've had off in my entire life. I just don't ever remember being off this long, because we work pretty much constant since we started. Crazy, huh?
Oh, yeah. Hey guys, you are watching Barside Jive with my guest, singer, songwriter, musician, and frontman, Mike Reno of the Canadian rock band Loverboy.
Yahoo!
Mike, you guys formed Loverboy in '79, I think it was.
This is when we started getting all the members together. And when we recorded our first album in '79. It wasn't released till '80, but we recorded it in '79 and part of '80.
Right. So it was primarily you and Paul, though, that was, hey, we got to have a band, right?
Yeah, well, Paul and I didn't even really want to get in a band, because I'd left a band in Ontario, Canada, that I played with for 3 years, and I was not really into being in a band right then. And Paul had left a band in an unpleasant way, and so he wasn't really into being in a band. And we just ended up meeting in Calgary in the dead of winter, which it's kind of like being in Colorado. It's cold, right?
Yeah.
And so we just ended up talking. The first night we wrote a song. It was on our first album called Always on My Mind. We wrote it in the first hour that we met. And he says, that was pretty easy. And I go, yeah, well, I've had that idea going in my head. And he said, that's cool. It's cool. Let's keep at this. And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to head out. Maybe I'll pop out and see you tomorrow, kind of thing. And it was just a low key, no pressure type thing. And we kept at it until we both looked at each other one day and said, we got some songs here. This is interesting. This is an interesting concept, because I think none of us really wanted to be in a band, but after writing these songs, we looked at each other and says, we got to get a band together. This is, and so we did. And the first person to join was Doug Johnson, our keyboard player. He was he was in Calgary at the same time, played with another band, and we just we tried out about 18 drummers, but Paul knew right from the beginning that he wanted Matt, our drummer today. That's who he wanted to play, but they'd had a bit of a shady past. He was in a band with him before, and it wasn't great. The mood wasn't great. So he says, you got to ask him, because I don't even want to talk to him. I said, I'm too nervous to talk to Matt. So I had to talk to Matt and talk him into coming down to rehearsal. And he says, oh, I don't want to do that. And finally he came down and he said, okay, that was cool. We played all these, we showed him how to know what these songs were like, and he started drumming them. And Paul said to me later, he went, that's the way I want these drums to sound in this band. So I knew, but then he was very reticent about coming back. He said, I don't think I said, come on, just come on back. He said, I can't do it. I can't. Maybe Thursday I can come down. I said, okay, come on down Thursday. We had this rehearsal hall. finally came down, and then he started realizing these songs were pretty good. And, and he took his time, and then we started playing some shows around British Columbia, and it started to gel. And it took us a while to find our bass player too. But Paul and I used to go see bands, and the leader of the band would go, "Oh shit, Reno and Dean are here to steal one of my musicians," and they just freaked out, right? And it was kind of true. I never really looked at it that way until later.
Right.
But we were looking for a bass player, so we'd go around and look at bands, and it took us a while to find the right guy. We found the guy just because of his style. He just had some really good stage presence.
Right.
And he was playing with a band, a famous Canadian female singer named Lisa Del Bello. And she went on to do all kinds of fun recordings with different people like Boss Skaggs and Toto. And she was turned into a major session singer as well. But anyway, she had a band, and it was a smoking band, and we stole the bass player off Lisa Del Bello. Thank you, Lisa. I hope you're not mad at me still.
You guys were totally scouting.
We were scouting. That's exactly what we were doing.
Yeah. That's great. So you ended up with Scott Smith on bass.
That's right.
You guys, that was the original lineup, right? Paul and you, Doug and Matt.
Doug, Matt,
and Scott.
And that was that lineup was unbreakable for 20 years.
Yeah. Wow.
That was a big shock for us when we lost Scotty, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And he was my best friend as well over the years. So we did everything together. We did a lot of sailing together. We did a lot of concerts together. We hung out. We used to get rooms right beside each other so we could have the door open and just hang out, Being on the road's hard enough, but if you got a good friend with you, it's a lot easier.
Right.
So we were the best. That was a tough one for us. It took a lot out of us for sure.
How did Scott's death affect you guys as a band?
Well, we were basically, as far as I was concerned, we were going to be finished. The one thing that made me rethink the whole thing was all the letters we got from people saying, you can't let this completely end the band. The band has got to come back. The band has got to survive. When all these people send in letters and stuff, it kind of made me rethink the whole thing, because the guys were leaving it up to me because I was so tight with Scott. And they figured they didn't even want to think about doing anything else. And we put a rehearsal hall together and invited a couple of people over to play with us. And the one guy came from Winnipeg, and he had with him, he walked in the room, he plugged in, and he looked at me and he held up the bass guitar. And I recognized it right off the bat. It was one of Scott's Spectres that he played. And he was a pretty generous guy, Scott. He used to hand stuff out to friends. So he'd given Spider this bass. And I walked over and I hugged him in the bass. And after that, it was pretty much a done deal. Just before he played a note.
Yeah.
That was the kind of thing I needed to get back at it. And so we started practicing, and it sounded really good. And it was still tough. The first few shows, I think I even cried during some of the shows. Thank God I was wearing sunglasses.
Yeah.
But that's the way it was. It was very difficult.
Yeah. We'll just dedicate this little chat of ours today to Scott Smith. How about that?
That's beautiful, DC.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll dedicate it to Scott Smith and his memory. So how did you guys come up with the name Loverboy?
Well, it's still kind of a stupid name. It's just like, God, that's a hard name to live with, especially when you're my age.
I gotta say, you got a lot of fans out there that wouldn't agree at all.
I thought we were really going to get hassled having this name. I really did. But turned out that we didn't get hassled at all. Like I never got any bad reaction to it at all. What happened was we were playing. I remember we were in Calgary. It was the winter. We were watching some movies with the girlfriends. We were getting ready to watch a movie, and me and Paul and our girlfriends, and they were going through Vogue magazine and you know, the magazines the girls like to read.
Oh yeah.
Cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
And I said to Paul, what if we made an attempt to dress nice, nicer than the Doobie Brothers and all the bands that are out right now? And we called ourselves Cover Boy, right? Instead of Cover Girl.
Right.
And I said, we might be able to sell that name, you know? And then, so that kind of stuck with us for one night. Paul had a dream. He dreamt about something and he called me in the morning and he went, Mike, I had this dream. I said, I think, he said, we call ourselves Loverboy instead of Cover Boy. And I went, are you kidding? We're going to get this shit kicked out of us. And, you know, I just could imagine it. And I said, that is really, you know, and then I kind of went, it's a really tongue-in-cheek name because, you know, we don't think of ourselves that way. It's just a name. And somehow it just stuck. And even when we played rockin' shows with some serious bands like Kansas and ZZ Top that are all known for their music, and a lot of guys go to these shows, nobody ever hassled us on it. I thought that was one of the mysteries of my life, that nobody hassled us about the name Loverboy, because I thought we were going to get it big time.
No, I think you were reading more into that than there was, because yeah, we when you guys came around, we'd already been listening to like Foghat, Cheap Trick, ZZ Top, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, you know, and Loverboy. It was cool. No one thought a thing about it. One thing that really helped you guys is MTV, because I remember when MTV first came out and you guys were all over it, as I recall.
That's a good memory, because we handed in 3 videos. They weren't even called videos back then. We just handed in 3 performances.
Right.
Recorded us doing, for a weekend, we went to the capital city of New York State, which was Albany and still is, into I think it was the Shrine Theater, and all this lighting and stuff was all set up, and they said, bring a whole bunch of clothes. We're going to shoot for a couple of days. We're going to shoot some songs. And we didn't really know what it was all about. Record company asked us to do it. So we did. And what they did is they took these songs that we videoed. They asked us to change clothes for each song and sing them a bunch of times. And then they ended up doing clips of the band playing live, and they threw silly clips from different movies and things into the clip and edited it all together. And then they ended up throwing 3 of these songs over to MTV the first week they were open. And, you know, and they didn't have enough stuff to play 24 hours, you know, they were a 24-hour music cycle.
Right.
So they just played us like crazy. It was one of those things. It was just perfect, really. Before, we were kind of faceless, like, who are these guys? Nobody really knew what you looked like unless you looked at the album cover. And then, you know, boom, next thing you know, you're all over TV 24 hours a day, heavy rotation. It definitely changed the course of Loverboy for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you bet. Okay, I got to ask you this too. We're going to dig a little deeper into this name thing, because I want to know how Joseph Michael Renowski became Mike Reno.
Well, ever since, well, when my dad's parents moved from Poland, at the border their name was changed from Renowskiewicz. They took the Vich off. You following me?
Yeah.
So then it was Renowski.
Right.
The whole time we grew up, my brother and I, everyone just called us Reno. I was like, Reno, come on, we're going downtown. Reno, let's do some work. Let's play some songs. Hey, call your brother. Reno, you and your brother come on over to our house tonight. So it was never a big deal. It was just Reno. And I remember when I signed a contract with the record company, I think they said, well, get Reno in here, he'll sign it. And I signed a different name, and they went, what the hell is that? And I said, well, that's my real name. He goes, we're changing that right now. He says, no, we're changing that right now. So record companies basically said, Reno, it's fantastic. You know, I says, well, that's what everybody calls me anyways. So it was not a big step. And that is the truthful answer.
Wow. Very cool. Yeah. Reno's a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Were you guys raised in Calgary? Is that where you grew up?
No, I grew up in the Okanagan Valley, which is where the fruit and all the vineyards are. It would be similar to Spokane. but north.
Okay.
North of Spokane in the Okanagan Valley.
Okay.
It's called little city of Penticton.
Okay.
People can look that up. It's a beautiful place to go in the summer. The winter, everybody snow skis. In the summer, everybody water skis.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
So you met Paul with the other guys that you guys met in Calgary.
This is like, yeah, I left the Penticton in the Okanagan. I left there when I was 17. And I went to Calgary and started another band. And I worked with that band for 6 or 7 years. It was a good band. And I'll tell you the name of the band if you promise not to laugh.
Okay.
Spunk.
Spunk. That's
Kinda
cool.
like-
I'm not
So
laughing. I'm
and
not
we-
laughing. I'm internalizing it.
Okay, good. So Spunk was a band that was really popular, and we played all over the place. In Calgary, Alberta, and all through Alberta, bands could play 7 days a week. So it was very competitive. Everybody had a band. Everybody tried hard. The shows were put together. The bars and stuff would be packed with people if you did it right. So we really had a good thing going there. And then I got called to do an album with the recording band, but I had to do it. I had to move to Toronto, and moving to Toronto was kind of a big deal because, you know, moving from Alberta, it's like moving from Colorado to New York City, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I did it, and it was a little nerve-wracking, but it was a step up, and I got into songwriting, and it took me to the next level. One of my first bands was called Morning Glory.
Morning Glory.
Yeah.
So you were in what, 2 or 3 bands before Loverboy?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands before.
Wow. Wow. And which one of those bands actually stayed together the longest before Loverboy?
Spunk.
Spunk, yeah.
That was the Calgary band. I ended up coming back to Calgary to drop my girlfriend off at the time. She wanted to go back to university and get a master's degree in English literature. And I said, I'm going to drop you off and I'm going to go down to Los Angeles and visit my brother and see what the music scene's like down there. And after meeting Paul, I never knew this was going to happen, but I ended up not even going. Paul and I just clicked. And I'd never met Paul before, and Paul had never met me. So it was one of these kind of interesting. This is very interesting. And it's kind of, had we not met that night, you know how you do that 6 degree of separation thing?
Yeah.
Had we not met that night, none of this would have happened, I don't think.
Right, right. Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy sometimes when you really kind of think back how it all got started.
Right. So why do you think that Loverboy was rejected by the American record labels?
Well, a couple of the guys had their head so far up their ass they couldn't even see what time of day it was. You know, I can remember Lenny Pizzi from Epic. He showed up in this hot nightclub in Vancouver in a full-length fur coat and didn't take it off. You know, and we looked at him and went, what the fuck is this guy all about? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, so that was fine. Years later, I ran into him at the Columbia year-end party in the Bahamas. They had brought us down because we'd sold so many records. We were like Columbia Records, and Epic Records was a subsidiary of Columbia.
Right.
And Lenny Pizzi was at this thing, and we were celebrated as like the #1 selling band for Columbia that year, you know, which is a big deal.
Right.
So we did a show down by the pool, and we're celebrating. On the way back, I walked by Lenny Pizzi's room. He had his door open for people to come in and, you know, mingle. And I went, hey, Lenny, how'd you like the band? How'd you like the show from the bar band you passed on? And I did it with a smile on my face.
Right.
And I just saw him go like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I bet there was a lot of that going on.
He would have been a hero. Yeah, we got passed up by a lot of bands. I remember Paul and I walked into Capitol Records in Los Angeles with the demo tape. Oh, we were pretty ballsy because the demo tape was a 2-track. Some of it was even recorded on cassette. And And they were just songs from our warehouse, rehearsal warehouse, you know?
Right.
And we played it for I don't know how we even got a meeting with Capitol, but we got a meeting with Capitol and played them this stuff, and they kind of, it just probably sounded shitty. I mean, but I was hoping that, I said, we know these aren't going to sound good, but we just want you to hear the tunes, right?
Right. Get an idea.
And then that we didn't hear back from them, you know?
Yeah.
I thought of Capitol because of the Beatles, right? And then,
sure.
I was just, we were dreaming, we were trying hard, and then we just kept doing that. And our management at the time invited bands to see us in different showcases in the Vancouver area. There's some nightclubs and really fun places to play. And people would pass and we'd be rejected. We'd feel lousy. We'd go back to rehearsing, and then we'd write some more songs. And then one night we were playing a place called the Body Shop, which was the hottest club in town, and packed because we had a bit of a reputation by then. And the guy walked in, he was from Columbia Records in Toronto. And he walked in and he says, this place is packed. And somebody said, Loverboy's playing. We go wherever they go. And this guy went, whoa. He told us this after the fact. His name was Jeff Burns. And that night he offered us a deal to go in the recording studio and cut a record. And we just flipped. We just went crazy. We just went, wow, this is going to be so great.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it was.
And we cut the first record in like 5 weeks, 4 or 5 weeks, all mixed and everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. That was back when you just walked in and let her rip.
Yeah.
Which is the way I like to record, actually.
Yeah.
Everybody just let her rip.
Yeah.
Words and all.
Thinking about, your difficulty, getting signed, there's been so many great bands come out of Canada that were influential to me when I was a young guy. Steppenwolf, Guess Who, Rush, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Triumph, of course, you guys. But
do you remember
Neil Young, huh?
April Wine?
April Wine, absolutely. Neil Young. I love Neil Young's stuff,
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you guys were having that trouble getting signed, did you ever think about calling any of those guys up and going, what the fuck is going on?
Well, you know what? Our manager used to manage Bachman Turner Overdrive.
Oh, okay.
And Bachman Turner Overdrive decided to just kind of call it quits for a while.
Uh-huh.
So our manager was primed to find another band because he was in a position where he knew all the promoters in the United States and he knew all the record reps. And he used to say to these guys, and he made no bones about it, he goes, you guys are fucking crazy not to sign these guys. Because he was a really high energy guy.
Right.
He'd say, you got to sign these guys. And then they said, no, our manager, his name was Bruce Allen. He says, don't worry about it. I'm going to get you a deal. You're going to get a deal. And he really wanted us to do a U.S. deal just because of the fact that there's way more people in the U.S. And
right.
if you sign a Canadian deal, the chances are you might not make it out of Canada, which is, it's just kind of logic. And a lot of bands in Canada didn't really make it out of Canada. I could name 7 of them. And they're great bands that should have been huge in the States, and they weren't. But we ended up selling so many records right off the bat that the United States just went, that's our band. So they immediately opened the door for us and went, we love you guys, come on down,
Yeah.
It was kind of like, you just almost felt like saying, fuck off. But,
right.
it was the big deal, and we got to meet the president of Columbia Records in the big New York office and go out to dinner with the president and hang around. And it was pretty cool, pretty exciting times. I'm not poo-pooing it. I'm just saying it took a while for us to get there, but we got there.
Let's talk for a minute about your albums, okay? And what I'd like for you to do is just tell me something real quick but interesting about each one of them, okay? Just whatever comes to mind.
I better look my albums up. I don't even remember.
I'll tell you what they are.
Oh, okay.
Okay, first of all, of course, your self-titled debut album, Loverboy.
Right. Well, I think the first single off that record was The Kid Is Hot Tonight. And I don't even know if we did a video for it, which is crazy. You'd think we would have done a video for that one, right?
Right.
But we didn't. And that's one of our biggest songs, even today.
Right.
The song that got the most interest and a video and everything was Turn Me Loose. here's something that's interesting about the song Turn Me Loose. At the time, Columbia Records was trying to not use the independent record promoters, because there was a whole thing that they were asking for way too much money, and there was all this stuff about abuse from the record promoters and payola and all that stuff that was happening.
Right.
So Columbia Records decided to split from all the record promoters, the independent record promoters. And I remember they walked in one day to the president's office in New York, and they had a billboard, top 100 sheet pinned to the wall. And this guy had a set of darts. And he says, you're not gonna use independent promoters anymore. You guys are crazy. He says, I'll show you what's gonna happen. And he threw a dart at the board, and it landed on Turn Me Loose. And he says, that song's gonna go no higher. And he walked out of the room, and it didn't. The song never moved. The song didn't make the top 40, and it's still our biggest song today.
Wow.
They stopped the single from getting past, I think it was 42 or something like that, and it didn't get into the top 40 because of that independent promoter. He went out of his way to make sure he was showing Columbia Records, teaching them a lesson. Yeah. And that's kind of a pretty serious story, huh?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Wow. What about your album, Get Lucky?
Well, we wrote a lot of those songs while we were on tour for the first album.
Mm-hmm.
And we were right off as soon as we got back, the first week we got back off tour. And the tour that year was with Kansas. We went right into the studio. The band was like a Spitfire. You could do no wrong. We played so many shows that we were on fire. And we went right into the studio and cut this record in record time, like 4 weeks, and just started pounding it out and making things happen. And, it was fantastic. A lot of times when you're cutting a record, they run this kind of a click track, and the click track sound is like a cowbell. Gong, 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 gong. And everybody gets the groove, and then they take the cowbell out of there, just so once the band's all in the same groove.
Right.
And then you record it a bunch of times, right? And
right.
Sometimes when you listen back to it, the cowbell sticks on. I think halfway through the first listen, I think our drummer went, "Keep the cowbell in for the first little bit. It sounds great," right? This is kind of one of those. That was a fluke, right?
Yeah.
And nowadays,
but it worked.
5:00 on Friday on a lot of radio stations still, they like to play that cowbell song,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's something that maybe a lot of people don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. What about Keep It Up?
Keep It Up was kind of a time in my life when I was starting to get a little exhausted. And so we were starting to look for outside songs to fill it in because the pace was getting too much. We just came back off tour, big selling record. I wanted some time alone. I just wanted to get off the tour bus kind of thing.
Right.
And I wasn't so keen on jumping back into the studio at that time. And so that album was a bit more of a strained situation for me. And I think we brought in a different producer and everything for that one. Maybe that was, no, I think we had the same team for that one. I should actually be looking at the album so I could tell you exactly what it's like. Name some songs off that one.
Dude, if you don't know, I damn sure am not going to know.
Keep It Up. Oh, I think This Could Be the Night was on there. And we just finished a tour with a whole North American tour with Journey.
Mm.
And Paul and I had this song, This Could Be the Night, for years, even before we recorded our first album. And it was a ballad, so we didn't play many ballads because we were trying to light a fire under everybody's ass, as a young band. So the ballads weren't that important to us. But I think somebody suggested we should put a ballad, especially after touring with Journey, because they had a lot of beautiful ballads, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so Paul ended up taking this song down to Jonathan Cain in San Francisco and said, Mike and I got this song, but we can't figure out what else to do with it. So Jonathan Cain came up with some of the keyboard parts, and he was a major writer for Journey and still is.
Right.
Then Paul brought it back with all these new ideas, and we went in and recorded it. That was a good moment I can remember about that album.
Right. And that was Keep It Up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 83.
83. Wow. I think we did an album every year. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. And then there came in, I think, 85, loving every minute of it.
That's when we switched to a different producer.
Yeah.
We wanted, Paul wanted to toughen the band up a bit now that we created something, which I thought was a bit odd because we created something that was this way and Paul wanted it to be heavy. He was going through his heavy period.
Okay.
I'm his partner in the band. And I said, why do you want to be so heavy? And so he even went and got Judas Priest's producer.
Oh, wow.
From London to come to Vancouver.
That is
and
heavy.
He was a great, yeah. And I said, dude, and he was recording all this really heavy, and I'm going, whoa, where is that coming from? And he goes, I want to toughen this band up. And I'm going, you want to change what we are to that? And I just didn't agree with him. But it was really fun working with Tom.
Yeah.
He turned out to be a great guy, Tom Allen.
Right.
And he had a great saying after. Loverboy's always been a band that could record right off the floor and make it sound really good. I can say that because that's what we do. A lot of bands record, singly. They'd record a guitar, then a bass, and you know what I mean?
Right.
But we used to just record everything at once. And I remember Tom Allen was standing and he's got I think he had a scotch in his hand, and he's really enjoying us playing the song. And we go, how'd it sound, Tom? And this is his famous quote, which I love to this day. In his English accent, he goes, change nothing immediately.
That's awesome.
Come on, lad. Come on in, lads. Let's give it an euro. That's how we, let's give it a listen.
Yeah.
He was a good guy to hang out with for sure. And, we did our best job. And we ended up using a connection we had with our management company to ask, which is another good story. We asked, we wanted one more song for the album, and our manager, Bruce Allen, ended up asking Mutt Lange if he had any songs kicking around.
Wow.
And I think Mutt Lange had probably written a song for Def Leppard or something, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because that's who Def Leppard was using. And we loved the big Def Leppard sound. Was very cool, right?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and this was back, if you can imagine this, before things like internet and stuff, literally. So they couldn't send us the song. So Mutt Lange played us the song. He was in his studio. He held the phone up to his speakers and played the song, his demo.
Right.
And we recorded it on a cassette, one of those things you do dictations on.
Right.
Little dictation recorder.
Micro cassette tape recorder. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we just played it down. And we said, well, this is pretty cool. And then we went in the studio and just started playing it. And then we did all these big vocals and we did all this stuff. And that was a fun thing. And then we ended up calling the album that because along the way, we like to get a little sassy with the names of our albums, like one's Get Lucky, one's Keep It Up.
Right.
And this one is Loving Every Minute of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we were kind of going for the sassy album titles.
Is that what you call it in Canada, sassy?
Yeah, well, just kind of, just a little bit tongue-in-cheek type stuff, right?
It was great. Now, after Loving Every Minute of it, did you guys start to see a decline in popularity?
What happened around that time was music was starting to change, and you either changed with it or you got kind of left out. So we attempted to make some changes, and we actually did a whole album that got rejected by the record company. They said, we want it to sound different than your other Loverboy records. So we cut another kind of record and sent it to them.
Right.
Said, well, this doesn't sound like Loverboy. And we said, what the fuck? You asked us for something that didn't sound like the other records. And now you're saying this doesn't sound like Loverboy. So we just said, okay. And then we went back to the drawing board and we started coming up with stuff. And we started bringing in some outside writers to help us with lyrics and different things. We were trying to get a little bit more in touch with what was coming rather than what had been in the music scene. And this is also the same time that radio stations were starting to not play. This is before classic rock radio. So they decided right around this time to stop playing a lot of that kind of music and start playing all this different new stuff. And this is really, record companies dropped the ball, radio stations dropped the ball and decided not to play anything. And a lot of bands, like every one of those bands we talked about today, Cheap Trick, REO Speedwagon, everybody, Foreigner, they just stopped playing all that stuff. And that in turn created what we now know as classic rock radio.
Yeah.
Somebody saw a void and said, you can't stop playing Styx and REO Speedwagon and Foreigner and Kansas. And you can't stop playing that.
Right.
And so there was a bit of a break there. So during that break time, we gave an album, and the album they didn't spend any money promoting it. So it didn't agree. So I guess it was a bit of a bad time for the band, because we thought maybe this might be a time to take a little time off and try to reestablish what was going on. And grunge was kind of creeping up from Seattle, right? It was starting to come in, and it was a tough game right then. And the radio basically stopped. So they created that. And that's when country music flourished.
Yeah.
Because when all these bands took some time off, the country guys stole all the road crews, bought all the equipment,
filled the void.
Yeah, they had lasers and all the stuff that we used to use, and lighting and lasers and big shows, and the country music flourished. But there was this void, and then right at the end of the void, classic rock radio started and gave everybody a chance to get back in it. The funny thing about classic rock is the songs they play got to be 25 years old or so. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you write a song today that you think is the best song you've ever written, it's going to be hard to get on the radio. It's almost put us in a position where what's the point?
Right.
They're not playing. A little while back, I wrote a song with Jim Petterick from Survivor, which I thought was one of the best songs we've ever written. And it was so good, we sent it to the Top Gun people for the new Top Gun movie.
Right.
Because it'd be perfect for that movie in our minds. And we recorded it and produced it and everything, sent it to him. We didn't even hear back from him. It's just like one of those times. And who knows, if that Top Gun comes out playing Beyonce, I'm going to puke.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, nothing against Beyonce. She's
right.
You know what I mean? Top Gun's, kind of a macho.
Oh yeah.
Jet. Let's get cracking with the rock and roll.
Right.
This song was perfect for it. It was called "Without a Bullet Being Fired."
Oh wow.
Which would be perfect.
Oh yeah.
For Top Gun.
Yeah.
And it was just totally right in there with the whole thing. High energy.
You guys did something for Iron Eagle too, right?
I did. It was just me, but I can barely remember those times. I went to LA I was doing something, recording in a studio, and somebody asked me if I would come up to their place and record a song for a movie. And I said, why not? What the hell? It was a pretty good song, I remember, but it wasn't the whole band. It was just me.
Okay. Well, and that's the same case for the one in Footloose, right?
Well, the one in Footloose, I was asked to do the song, and it's a duet, and they said, we'd like you to pick anybody that you want to sing this with. And immediately I just went, Ann Wilson from Heart. That's who I'd like to sing with.
Wow.
And I don't know if you guys know this, but Heart lived in Vancouver for 15 years.
Now they're from Seattle.
They are, but
right.
It was during, there was a lot of, I think, a lot of friction in the armed forces. They wanted everybody to join in the registry. I think it was called, I can't remember what they call it anyways. So anyways, they wanted to get out of Dodge because they didn't want to go in the Army and stuff. All the guys in the band.
Selective service.
Selective service was happening and you got picked.
Yeah.
And you had no choice, right?
Right.
So to avoid that, I think that's pretty much why they came to Vancouver. Other than the fact the music scene here was pretty happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to go see Heart all the time. they were the band that played all the Led Zeppelin stuff, right?
Yeah.
They played it very, very well.
Yeah.
And they still do, right?
Yeah. Oh,
But-
yeah. They made Robert Plant cry in the Kennedy Center, didn't they?
Oh, right. Yeah. They
Remember
do.
that?
Oh, they're great. I go see them whenever I can. They're a fantastic band. So I just said that's who I'd like to sing it with. And it was one of those magic moments where we met in a studio in Chicago, a studio called Pierce Arrow, which used to be the building where they built those cars.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Pierce Arrow cars.
Right.
The producer was Keith Olsen, famous for doing all kinds of great stuff. And after a brief waiting period, it was for some reason Anne was late, but we waited and waited. And then when she came in, I just asked her if she wanted to drink or anything and relax a little bit, get to know each other because we hadn't met before. And then after about half an hour of just sitting beside in front of each other, there was a microphone set up. I said, do you know the song? And she says, yeah, I know the song. I said, do you want to give it a try? And she said, yeah. And they rolled it. And we stood up and sang it in the same mic facing each other. And Keith Olsen went, thank you. And then it was all over.
Wow.
One take. It was a magic time. Yeah.
Wow. How cool is that?
The magic time.
Yeah. Well, you've done some cool stuff, and your music is still, you know, to this day, it's iconic for a lot of reasons. But I mean, you had, as I recall, commercial TV play.
Heck, I heard on the I was watching football the other day, last week, the week before, a lot of football on, which is great. Finally, we're doing something. And they're playing some of my songs at some of the football stadiums. I mean, there's no people in there, but you know, you hear "Love It Every Minute of It," or you hear like, "It is hot tonight." You know, the Seattle teams, you know, winning and playing away. And it was kind of great to hear the stuff like that. People call me up and go, "They just played you on the NFL." You know, it's like, thank you, that's great. And they did use us for a lot of commercials and TV stuff and movies. They're still using us. I signed a contract recently to do something for a couple of different new things. One was a movie, one was a TV show, all up and coming. So it's still happening, which is, we're very fortunate really for that to happen.
Keeps the checks coming in.
Nothing wrong with the old mailbox money.
No, I know. Hey,
we're off. It's been a long break here.
Oh, I know.
Mailbox money.
I know. Thank God you've got that. We've probably got about 30 more minutes. Do you want to keep going?
I got to take a leak.
Okay, go take a leak. I'm going to take one too. I'll meet you back here in a few minutes. We dedicate this show to the memory of Donald Scott Smith, born February 13th, 1955, and lost at sea on November 30th, 2000. He was a Canadian musician and the bassist for Canadian rock band Loverboy. A great bandmate and friend, Scott, you are missed. If you'd like to see more of my chat with Mike, just go to my YouTube channel by searching Barside Jive Live, and you will find more in the Barside Jive Rock and Roll Files playlist. Hang on. And my understanding is Mike's gonna be back next week for round 2. You know, sometimes when you gotta go, you just gotta go. And that applied for both of us. But turn on and tune in next week and Mike will be back. But guys, don't forget to click subscribe and then click the little bitty eensy weensy tiny little bell so you'll receive notifications when I post something new, which I do pretty often. Remember, Barside Jive Live on YouTube. Next week on Barside Jive, I'm going to get Mike Reno back, so I'm looking forward to that. And now a word from our own Donald Mahan.
Barside Jive shall not be responsible for any incorrect or inaccurate information caused by this broadcast. Barside Jive does assume, however, all responsibility for the satirical nature of its content and for the occasional fictional nature of its content. All characters appearing in this broadcast, even those based on real people, except for our featured guests, of course, are entirely fictional, and any resemblance between them and any persons living dead or undead is purely a miracle.
Guys, we are out of here. Seriously. I know it's been a long show. What time is it? Oh, 1:50. Damn. I must have fell asleep for a long time. We do appreciate you hanging out with us this afternoon like we do every Monday. And we also appreciate your support of what we're doing here and hope that you'll just continue to share us with your friends, your family, and your followers. And until next time, be kind to one another. Keep it real. Keep on rocking. See you next Monday.
What's your name? What? What is your name? Tony! Fuck you, Tony! What's your name? Ezekiel! Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you! Fuck you!